Hello, welcome to eSolutionONE's One Demo application. Today, we will be going over how to request and present our prior authorization workflow. Selecting the link in your welcome email will send you to the request page of the application. This page contains a link to our industry solution information and teaser videos. We'll select the demo we'd like to present, prior authorizations, add the client name, your email, and initiate the request. Presenting us with a confirmation, an email will be sent to the provided address with a link to your One Demo dashboard and your username and password. If the email is not found, an additional can be sent from this page. From the email, we can link to the login page, put in our username and password provided in the email, and complete the login and password reset. Navigating the dashboard, we can request an additional demo, download demo scripts, learn more about payer sales solutions, contact the eSolutions_ONE sales team, and view your active sales demos with the expiration date and the status available. Once complete with your demo, please feel free to provide feedback on this page so that we can continually enhance our platform. Now let's go ahead and jump into prior authorization. The preview page shows a high-level description of the use case, as well as a high-level description of each persona, with the ability to select the persona and impersonate them from this page. This and the demo script will assist you in understanding and driving through the prior authorization workflow. Breaking out the information into an introduction and background and the specific persona use cases. Now we'll go ahead and use this to assist us in driving through the workflow, beginning with impersonating the reviewing nurse. Presenting them to the landing page where they'll do their work. We see a high-level overview of prior authorization cases, highlighting key fields and data visualizations to get a full picture of the team's work and status. The list contains new cases coming from an omni-channel setup. In this instance, they will be coming from an integration with an outside system, flagging pre-authorizations based on rules and exceptions being broke. Advanced work assignment routes to the most qualified reviewing nurse based on skill, availability, and past casework. We will go ahead and select the case at the top of the list having to do with a knee replacement. Providing a consolidated view of the required information to work cases without shifting platforms. Details can be customized to show fields specific to the agents and will get populated by case submission from outside integration system or agent updates. Compose tracks real-time updates to the case and provides audit history. Comments are for external contacts. Work notes are for internal agents, liaisons, or approving managers. Activity collects all field changes, attachments, and comments with timestamps to provide clarity no matter where the agent picks up the case. The side panel to the right shows important fields and case tracking. Reference fields allow agents to dig into related records further, while still being able to be in the workspace. The fields can also dynamically adjust based on the agent assigned or other field conditions. We have the contact tied to the case. So in this, it would be the office manager of the service provider. SLAs can be tracked as well. And then a timeline breakout of the SLA to get that granularity can also be displayed. So this can hone in on why was this SLA maybe exceeded. It could be because we were waiting for information for a long period of time. So it just allows you to get a little bit of a fuller picture. We can move to Agent Assist. This will takes the short description of the case and populates articles that have similar text or metadata to it to provide the agent with the most up-to-date and relevant information. We can click into it to get more detail about the article as well. Attachments, so if anything comes in from an outside integration, email, maybe a fax through ZPaper, it would end up in this location here. And then we also have another spot for activity, just showing the ability to customize and modify the format of this page. Okay, so now that we've gotten a good overview, we'll go ahead and take a look at the playbook, and then we'll kind of dig into these as we move along with this flow. The playbook provides the reviewer with a structured view of the business workflow. Interacting with the workflow in real time from within the workspace, agents can use this playbook to update records, upload attachments, and complete tasks across multiple workflow activities in line with the case. So it's structured with these overlying categories and then the cards within these categories. And these categories and cards can also dynamically populate as we move through the case, depending on how stuff is answered as we go along. So to begin, we'll go ahead and just verify that this is in review and that we're going to begin work. So now that we've initiated this, we would go ahead and take a look at some of the surrounding information provided within the data model. So we can go and see the prior authorization tied to the case, any attachments if there were any, as well as member data. So here we can see the general detail of the member themselves, and then we also have options to see their member plan, any appointments, encounters, procedures, anything that's been added to this data model. We also have another way of representing that data as well. Rather than related lists, we can create a member dashboard. This allows us to surface that same information, but in a more consumable way. And this is highly customizable. So depending on the agent, we could have various views that showed specifically what is needed for this agent to complete their job. In this case, we have some default data for Caleb, so his MRN number, phone, email, social security, any insurance detail coming from the member plan tied to this member, customer insights. So this can come from an integration with Qualtrics, allowing us to get better feedback based on survey completion. So let's say a survey came in with a bad score. This would update information in ServiceNow, and it could create a case and can be handled further as well. We'll go down. Here we can just see any of their conditions, medications, allergens, immunizations, prior authorization history, so that we get a full picture of what's going on with this individual, as well as any interactions that were recent or open. Great. Now that we reviewed the case, we'll go ahead and make our initial determination or initial review. And for this, we will go ahead and say we're going to need some documentation. We didn't really see any clinical notes specifying exactly why they're requiring this prior authorization. So we'll go ahead and ask that from the office manager that is this contact here. Tag history and physical notes, and we'll update. Now this pushes us to a step that allows us to create a cover sheet. So we get the option of whether we would like to do fax or email. We'll go ahead and do fax. Any notes that we would like to do on the reasoning for this request, we'll leave that blank for now, and we'll go ahead and mark complete. The cover sheet creation is happening with an integration with our partner ZPaper that allows us to use a templated cover sheet, pull information that's useful off of this case detail here, and then be able to generate a barcode that is in line with this number so that anything that gets faxed back to the ServiceNow phone number can align correctly with the case that it was initially opened with. And so we can go ahead and see that here. We went ahead and just hit fax and initiated that request. And now we have the attachment here with the medical record. So we can click into it and see. Now that we've received this and it hit the case, we can go into the OCR doc Intel extraction. And the document intelligence plugin allows us to pull information off of this medical record. So some example fields that we were able to pull is the diagnosis code, allergies, the member ID. So this would be nice to be able to verify that this document is the correct document that matches this member before we translate all the information into their member information. So it's a nice check. And one thing I would want to point out is when you're in the middle of demoing this, the process can take up to 1 minute. So if you're seeing the fields not change, it's due to it, the PDF being translated by DocIntel. Now that we have everything to make the determination, we'll go ahead and review the prior authorization one more time. So there's just another way of presenting it. We have the ability to dive into the related record itself to see all the detail, or we can see what is provided to us within the playbook. And so this individual, just to give clarity, is going to be suffering from severe arthritis of the knee. And this is requesting a knee replacement. Okay. And then this is just an instructional to show us that we can go ahead and review medical guidelines, which is a knowledge document that is provided to us within Agent Assist. And find that. Medical guidelines. Do our review. Mark complete. Great. Now this pushes us to the guided decision. So let's say sometimes these cases come down to a determination where it takes a lot of outside information and it's a little difficult for this agent to kind of come to a final decision. We can provide these guided decisions to help the agent work through a number of questions so that they understand what information they need to look at, how to compile it, and be able to analyze it to determine an outcome. So we'll go ahead and start this. We have the option to skip it or initiate this guided decision. So we'll go ahead and start. Does the member have osteoarthritis, so wear and tear? We'll go ahead and say yes after reviewing documents. Does the member have rheumatoid arthritis? We'll go ahead and say no. Do they have a history of non-surgical treatments? We'll do a lower number of years. And then non-surgical treatment is not effective. We'll go ahead and say yes. Is the member 60 years of age or older? We'll stick to no. And based on these inputs, we get a decision. And this guided decision is telling us that this is deemed not medically necessary. And it provides a short description on why this has been determined. So in this case, the member being under age of 60 with osteoarthritis history of less than 2 years deems this not medically necessary. So now that we've come to this conclusion, we'll go ahead and dismiss this. We'll say no. Copy the work notes and add anything additional that we would like. And since we said no to medically necessary, this is going to push us to an assignment to clinical review. Right, coming back to our admin page, we'll go ahead and impersonate the clinical reviewer. Now looking at a similar layout as the reviewing nurse, we see the case that was just assigned to our clinical reviewer. We move to the playbook, and now we see the fields populate. So before we complete this determination, we'll go ahead and do the same review that the reviewing nurse did. So we can go ahead and take a look at the member information, any details, prior authorization. The attachment now is already gathered for this individual. We can also check out the activity. Before we come to a conclusion. The clinical reviewer is going to deem this medically necessary. They're going to say, based on the radiographic evidence of the severe osteoarthritis grade 4, it's only affecting one compartment of the joint. And even though the member is under the age of surgery, with the unsuccessful PT and loss of cartilage, it is advised they get the surgery before their knee mobility decreases, and that could further complicate future surgeries. Great. Now we will review and complete. We will move this from pended to certified in total. We don't need a rejection reason since this is certified. We can add any notes. We'll say approved. And now we can send a provider notification to let them know that their authorization has been approved. Completing the workflow. We can now go back to the demo view, end impersonation, and return to the dashboard to provide any feedback.